what you want from us, but we're all here tonight. We were all here at the last meeting. What do you need to know from us that you don't have?
Well, that's what I was about to get to. And the residents we're their first response. They're responding to us, and they're responding to us with a loud voice. We're their first point of contact and attack. I have currently on my voicemail 2 very, very angry messages, and people had panic because of their public safety they believe is at risk. I've made referrals regarding abandoned houses, structures that needs to be boarded up, and haven't been completed as today. And because of the abandoned structures being burned within the past few days, people are afraid that these structures are in risk and jeopardy of burning their homes when they're right directly next door to them. So I believe that we could have done a better communication with the inclusion of this body as it relates to public safety, the layoff of officers, as it relates to the layoff of firefighters, as it relates to the trash pickup. I believe that we were not inclusive with some of the discussions and input when you had the opportunity of meeting with both the president and the vice president of this council on a weekly basis, and then we find out news on MLive or on Channel 12 or other news stations. And then information is delivered to us like the trash pickup, a week before it's inputted. That's not effective communication, and I believe that you work with, if we're going to work in partnership together, as most of us have signed an agreement to do, that if we're going to have a true partnership, that we would take advantage of those opportunities and work together and show that inclusion. And I think the best rollout, for whatever the community would have to live with, as well as us, because we live in the community as well, then it would be something that would be inclusive of this body. Potentially, there's certainly going to be opportunities or moments where we disagree. But you have a lot of input from this body that I don't believe that has been sought out and implemented in any of your planning. So that is a bit frustrating, and that is, how do I respond to the constituents when they forward their complaints to me, and then I suggest to them, I believe it'd be a better plan if we do the trash pickup in the winter instead of in the summer months. When it's hot outside and trash has to stay another week in your residence, and just buying another trash can is not really going to resolve everybody's problems.
Councilman, if we were facing a temporary shortfall or $100,000 or $200,000 shortfall in sanitation, I couldn't agree more with you. If you had to make a choice between every other week, 6 months out of the year during the cold months versus the hot months, then that'd be an easy one. But the fact is, our sanitation fund next year, we'll have a tough time meeting its revenues on an every other week collection schedule. So that's just one point. But I take your wider point, and I hope this council knows when you said it before. If you've been sitting at home with or sharing with residents a $500,000 savings that you haven't shared with me or the city administrator, then please do that. because we need major savings. But if something's not a major savings, and we still have more than $1 million to find after these layoffs we put into effect, then there's not as much, to talk about.
Well, there's a lot that we can talk about on every issue that you've implemented, without, seeking our input. Because, again, I don't think you've heard from everybody at this table as far as, the plans that you have implemented. And if we're going to have an agreement of cooperation and working together and respect for one another, I think that that's something that needs to be, led first, by each of us as leaders. And it is disappointing. It is disappointing, and I don't believe that every stone has been unturned as to the savings of this community. I've made suggestions, prior to the budget, being looked at and implemented on public safety. Chief Locke, his wife is heading up, police safety patrol over at Mott College. We have other universities, in this city that we can partner with, and University of Michigan in Kettering, we can partner with because their students are moving more downtown. So why don't we then, request of them, to expand their boundaries, into the downtown area with the University of Michigan Flint. And I don't think that that's something that has been, even pursued. It's an option. Have we looked at our other levels of government, the county, the state, and their support in police force? I understand, and the community really understands that we have a deficit that we need to reduce. But they also want to feel safe in the process of reducing this deficit. I'm not saying that we can't afford to lay off police officers or firefighters, but then what are we going to do to then offset, to make sure that our cities are safe with the fires? I made a suggestion before about the firefighters. There's other communities that are very successfully working with volunteer firefighters. How many volunteer firefighters do we have, with our staff, working with our staff?
Okay, I'll start addressing some of those issues. As far as U of M goes, they have started patrolling some of our downtown areas, but you have to understand that they're in a state of retraction also. And, they have budgetary issues, but they have agreed to start patrolling some of the downtown area also. We have talked to state police, we've talked to attorney generals, we've talked to U.S. attorneys, we've talked to the sheriff department, and, we're working those things out. But like I say, they're all in a state